Welcome to another episode of the Loren Lahav podcast, where we're celebrating our 5th year of bringing you the most fascinating, coolest humans on the planet. You know, I am cruising towards my 60th trip around the sun, and I've discovered something really magical. The world is packed with even more incredible stories than I ever imagined. And every week, it's like opening a surprise gift. You never know who's going to pop into our studio. Maybe it's a tattoo artist who became a quantum physicist, or a grandma who just climbed Kilimanjaro. We dive into the good, the messy, and the beautiful, sharing those awe moments, the epic fails that turn into beautiful wins, and the raw truth about owning who we really are. Because let's face it, life is way too short to pretend. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and join our tribe of authentic souls who aren't afraid to keep it real. This is where wisdom meets laughter and where every story matters. Let's dive in. So what happened this morning before talking?
I got up in the morning and it was like 58 degrees, which I'd never even heard of before. And I went outside and I had to come back in because I was like, oh, I'm shivering. But I went to the doctor because I had to get a blood draw because my annual physical. So if I fall over, it's because of anemic. It's not having nothing to do with the fact that I might have been drinking or anything. And then I came home and I took my hair out of rollers, I know prevailing wisdom is that I get up like this, and normally I do, but normally I've got to be like, who are you? Get out of my bed, and then I got to brush my hair. So after that,
that's what Dolly Parton says. Somebody asked her, they said, why did she goes to bed with her makeup on? Did you know that?
No.
She said, if I'm going to go, she goes, what? I want to wake up and scare my husband. I want to look good for my husband.
My favorite thing that she said was somebody asked her, I was a famous story. Somebody asked her one time, how long does it take to do your hair? She says, I don't know. I'm never there when they do it, which I love. And did you know, I don't know if you know this, if you go, so Dollywood, I don't know if you've ever been, it's a great park,
yes.
But Dollywood and Pigeon Forge, there's a hotel you can stay at, but there's also one of her old tour buses that is all decked out and you can stay there. And I think it's $10,000 a night, but all the money goes to her reading foundation.
Yeah. The literacy, that's a big thing. Just so you know, that was a big thing. I really, Dolly's my hero. And I'm from Asheville, and Pigeon Forge, like you said, is right near Asheville. And I was like, maybe you just need to go with me right now. So maybe you just need to go. Maybe we just need to plan to go to Dollywood. I think that we need to plan.
Are you a big amusement park lady? Because there are some good roller coasters there. I love them.
Will you wear a dress and your dress will fly up and everything?
It always do. Usually right when they take the pictures, and they're like, hey, would you like to get your picture made when you're going down the hill? And then you're like, and then you like got a bug in your mouth and everything. You're like, oh, that's not the picture I wanted, but it looks better than my wedding picture. So I guess I'll take it. I went there for my birthday. I had not been there ever. And then my friend took me for my birthday a couple of years back, and oh my Lord, had the best time. Did you know what's really interesting?
We really need to go. Let's go.
Oh, I'd love to go.
You, me, and a couple other people. Maybe somebody that's listening to our podcast today.
Yes, let's make a trip out of it. I love it. Pigeon Forge is so stinking cute. I mean, you can just get calories put on you just by driving down the main road there. All them restaurants with all that crap. But I don't know if you know this. There's no merchandise in the park with Dolly's face on it. You can get her name on it. You can get obviously Dollywood and stuff, but she won't let them put anything because she doesn't want the park to be all about her, even though it's got her name on it. She wants it to be about the community that's all there working.
Wow.
So there's no, and I mean,
she's my hero. She's my hero.
Love her. She's so smart and sweet and kind and she's very thoughtful. She's a very thoughtful person. She's what I want to be. Like when I get up in the morning and I'm like, get out of the bed, Senator, you're snuggling to me. Like I want to think like how Dolly would say it and be like, you're sweet. I'll vote for you or whatever before you kick him out. But she is, she's an angel from Baby Jesus. I love her to pieces. She is.
I love you. I am so excited to be doing this with you. I'm actually I want this to be our podcast right here. Just start off like this.
Really?
We give them a little behind the scenes of who we are and what we're about. And so We were just talking. I'm very excited, Dixie, for you to be here with us, and that you're going to be with us in March.
I'm so excited. I
I'm
cannot
so
wait.
so excited. Well, I got to meet you. How many years ago was it now? A year and a half? I guess a year, maybe just a
That was
year.
a year and a half. Well, almost two, because it's coming. It would be May 2 years ago.
May 2 years
Yeah.
ago, and then I had these short little breaks between teaching the event, and I decided to go during the break and I just stalked you,
You
and
were so sweet.
I was stalking you.
Turns out we had a mutual friend, and you called your mutual friend during the break and said something about me. And then she's like, "Oh, do you know who she is?" And then she yammered on. And then we came back from break, and you're like, "Wait a minute, before we go any and you had me stand up and talk a little bit about myself, which was so stinking sweet. But I've known you for a lot longer than you've known me, obviously, because I have been to your seminars, I've been to your speeches, I've had my life uplifted and changed and challenged by you, which is so wonderful. So things that you're putting into the world before you even knew me, you were helping me, as you help so many other people all the time, and I was really driven by it. And so when I went to, we met in Fiji officially. We met at a Life Mastery event for Tony Robbins, and you were the facilitator there. I was so excited because I knew you, I'd met you, I'd seen you at a lot of events and stuff, but I'd never met you. And so to be in that room, that small there in Fiji, and have you walk out there, I was like, oh, I'm in heaven, because I'm gonna get to spend the next, I think it was like 10 days we got to spend together. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll get to next 10 days with you, eating vegetables and peeing in a cup. I don't know. We did a lot of stuff. It was good.
But
Yeah.
I did wear my pink pumps for you. I did wear
Okay.
this just
You,
to Fiji for you. My Jimmy Choos.
if people don't know this about you, your footwear collection is staggering. It's incredible, and you have amazing taste, and you know how to wear it, and you're just cute as a button. And so you always wear the right thing, and you can like go jogging, and you're like, you know what I need? A red bottom pumped. And like you get how to dress. Like you're very smart like that. So no, I love you
Well,
for
but you understand that, and I think that it's a big thing. Like, I mean, maybe you can tell a little bit of a backstory behind Dixie, because I think a lot of people, one of the things we always talk about is really understand and appreciate people's worlds, and that's really how Dixie was born, right?
You are so sweet. Yeah, well, listen, okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dixie Longate. I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and born and raised. I have 3 kids. I have 3 husbands that I'm aware of, but all of them are not with me anymore. And that is sad. But I went through my grief and I'm ready to celebrate. And but the main thing is I started selling Tupperware. Gosh, it was almost 22 years ago. Part of the conditions of my parole. My parole officer, she was like, "You need a job in order to get your kids back." And I'm like, "Gross." But they make you take them back. That's a law. I'm going to march to get changed. Anyway, so I started selling Tupperware, and within a couple of years, I became the top selling Tupperware Tupperware rep in the entire United States and Canada. I didn't even know if they had food up in Canada, but apparently they do. And that was amazing. And so what I love about Tupperware, which is it's such a great company, is it's very female focused. It's very women centric. It's very much, if you go back and look at the history of Tupperware, a man named Earl Tupper was the one who created the actual product, but it was a woman named Brownie Wise who was like, wait a minute, you're not doing this right. Because at first, Earl Tupper sold it on store shelves. Nobody was buying it because nobody knew what a plastic bowl was, let alone an airtight seal. That was like a whole new concept back then, because people were, putting stuff in glass dishes and putting a wax paper over it and stuff to keep things fresh. And so he came up with this amazing bowl, but nobody knew what it was. So it just kind of languished on the store shelves. And then she was a door-to-door sales lady. And she was like, wait, you know what? I demonstrate products all the time, but this product definitely needs to be demonstrated, but I have a way to do this. So she actually ended up getting in touch with the Tupperware Corporation, with Earl Tupper. And she's like, I got a way to sell this. I want you to give me a trial on it. So she took the product and brought a bunch of women together and started just demonstrating it in people's. And he was so amazed at the amount of sales that were going on from her geographical region. He was like, we're going to do this. We're going to make this into a thing. He brought her down to Kissimmee, Florida, where the world headquarters is located, and like put her in charge of this whole division. So basically, she became the vice president of Tupperware. And turns out she was the first woman ever to be featured on the cover of Business Week magazine.
Wow.
Then down to do a little story about this emerging plastics company. And they found out about her, and she was so charismatic and so engaging that they were like, we want to talk about this. And so they really focused on her and what she was bringing to the whole business. And her motto always was, if you build the people will build the business. So she was like you from the very beginning. She was about how do we make people lift people up? How do we make people see parts of themselves that they don't realize are there, are amazing, are should be capitalized on, should be celebrated. And it was because of her that the company exploded and flourished so much, because it gave all these women who had been women, in the Rosie the Riveters in the war. Yeah. And then the war was over and they were like, oh, guess you're going back to the kitchen. It gave women this opportunity again right after that to go back into the workforce, because that it happened in the 50s.
But why do you think he, I mean, I'm just going to ask you, I love this story. Like I heard, I mean, when during your show, I actually started to cry when you were telling the story. Why do you think he listened to her? Because I think a lot of people go, they've got great ideas and they think that they can't go to the person, or they can't. Why do you think, what did she do so that her voice could be heard?
She basically, she showed up with the goods. So she started selling products right from the store shelves, and they were introducing, they were having to ship more to that region. And that's how we started finding out about her, because it's like, why are we selling so many products in this area? And they're like, well, Brownie Wise. And so it was her going, I see something, I want to do something with it. And she made commissions on all the stuff she was selling. And that's how, because she was making money, and she was making money for the company, they're like, all right, well, those numbers talk. And so that's how it happened. But she brought a finesse and a humanity to the company that then changed the way the company was working. It never would have
changed. It changed all of the whole world of network marketing. I mean, like if you look at home parties and what she did for the world of network marketing, right?
It all started, but every direct selling company modeled their business model after Tupperware. Tupperware was the first in-home party. And then all of these things exploded from that, which is great. So if you look at what she's done, and she's an amazing woman. I never got the chance to meet her. She died before I ever was in Tupperware. But had I been able to know her, I mean, they say, who would you have lunch with, living or dead? I prefer that it would be somebody that'd be living, because, having lunch with dead people is often misunderstood by the police. We'll just leave it at that. But I said, but I would love to go back and have lunch with her, and not only to let her know, to just get her words of wisdom, but also to let her know what her legacy did, because she died in the 80s, and so she knew Tupperware had grown, but I don't think she saw how much what she did with Tupperware expanded to the women's movement in general, and how many women sort of took stock in what she said, even if they didn't know her or didn't know her words, and said, okay, well, this is compounded on top of itself to celebrate and lift women up. But then, so I was doing real well in Tupperware, and then a friend of mine said, you should do this as a show. And I said, stop talking. And we were at a party, it was really loud. And so I did, I turned it into a show called Dixie's Tupperware Party. I took it to New York to try it out. It did real well in New York, and then it launched a tour, and the tour started in 2008, and I'm finishing up the tour this year. So I will have been on the road, save for the little bit of time I was off the road because of COVID, I will have been on the road 17 years with this show, which is ridiculous. But the show is all about, it's a Tupperware party on stage, but the whole point of the show is the narrative is woven through the show about Brownie Wise, and then about the things like your comparison to Brownie Wise. Who do you have the possibility of being? What untapped things do you have in your life that you didn't think about before, that you can kind of pull yourself up and say, you know what, I am valuable, I am worth it. We only have a limited time on this planet. Let's do something that makes ourselves happy, but also puts good out into the world, because it's so easy to just share a little bit of happiness. And even if you don't know where it goes out. And people, we're in a day and age of so much polarity and screaming and fighting. If you just put out something that is a little bit good, you never know who that's going to affect in a positive way.
I love that. I've been to the show, which I loved it. My husband, we just laughed and cried, and it's just so many different elements that you brought in for people to think. Now, I mean, like you said, you've been doing this for a long time, bringing people together, and it's really about human connection. You talk a lot about, just that human connection. What's something that you wish everyone understood better?
You know, I've been, it's the new year now. So I'm hearing a lot of podcasts. I'm hearing a lot of little clips from people about, and I started listening, and forgive me, I don't remember her name, but I started listening to this gal who is a caretaker, and she's seen over 100 people, helped over 100 people like pass on. And she said she started collecting little stories, little words of wisdom for people. She always asks them to me, I'm like, what do you regret most? And and she's saying about how all these people that are getting ready to pass going, oh, if only I had lived my life in the way that I should have. If only I hadn't told myself that, oh, this person's going to disapprove of what I'm doing, so I shouldn't make this choice. Instead of going, well, that person's going to be dead at some point too. And honestly, they're not thinking about you. We put so much of our lives into other people's hands, as far as like, oh, they'll think this, or oh,
Yeah.
I'll suffer these kind of ramifications or something. And if we just go, you know what, I'm going to do the things that are going to make me happy. I'm going to spend time every day celebrating myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to do something that is going to make put something out into the world that betters the world, even if it's little. Do something like that. And I think that's the thing. Like, I always want to find ways to just color the world a little bit prettier, because I think this world is an amazing place, and I think people in their nature are wonderful. And there are always a couple of bad apples, but you're going to find that anywhere. So why focus on the bad apples when you can focus on the amount of good that's out there, the amount of things that people have created, the amount of things that people are doing, and celebrate those things. And why can't you be one of those people too? What's stopping you from being the person that is putting something good into the world? It doesn't have to be even a big way, just something in your family, something in your community, something with local kids programs, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, Big Brother, Big Sister, something that you're doing to give back a little bit to the world to make it better.
Well, that's why, I love that so much, because, as you know, I had to move the time of our podcast because we do these birthday parties for kids who've never had a birthday party. So there's like 200 kids that we're getting. Some of them don't even know when their birthday is, right? And everybody's asking, people are texting me right now, because I did a ladies' luncheon yesterday, and like, what can they bring? And so we bring pizza, we bring cupcakes, we bring them gifts. But the most important part for these kids, you know what they want?
Tell me.
A gift bag. Not even like, because they're like, something about it's theirs, right? Not a wrap present, but like a bag. Like they're like that it's all theirs. It's unbelievable, the little things, right, that mean so much. You hit on something really important. I think, people put themselves into boxes of like what they should do or how they should be. And my question is, through creating and creating and performing as Dixie, right? As beautiful Dixie, creating her. What have you learned and broken free of?
I think what I've learned is people are better than they give themselves credit for. I think so much of people look outside of themselves for fulfillment, or for a direction to go, or for somebody to follow, and they forget that they are part of that. They're part of that equation. You're not following anybody unless you're the follower. You're not there. That you are part of this thing. What is stopping you from picking yourself up and going, well, look what I have to offer. Look what I have to do. And I think everybody has something really amazing about themselves that is completely untapped. And I think we're in a society now that people look at themselves and go, I'm not worthy of that. Something in their mind tells them, oh, I'm not worthy of trying that, or, oh, I'm going to fail. Well, okay, but yeah, everybody fails. But then you get back up and you try, you've learned something. It's never a failure if you've learned.
Right.
You go on and you go, okay, I know not to. Listen, my life is all about the crap that I did wrong. It put me in the position I am today. There are tons of things that I would do differently if I knew back then what I know now. But you know what? Okay. I know that I can't change that. And I know spending any amount of time on that is going to just frustrate me and make me crazy and prevent me from doing the things that I know I'm capable of doing now. So might as well spend time on going, oh, you can take that little minute to go, that frustrates me. But then you can swing it around and go, you know what? I'm capable of doing this too, or I'm capable of doing something better. I'm capable of doing something that I'm not even aware of. I think that's the number one thing that I want to put out in the world. I think people are better than they give themselves credit for. When I started out doing Tupperware parties years ago, I was doing in people's living rooms, like I said. And so I'm around people all the time. And it's what I noticed constantly is I would go into somebody's home, like somebody would book me for a party. I would go into their home, and I would get there, half hour early to set up everything. So invariably, the host would have a couple of friends there, and so we would be talking. I'd be setting everything up, and I would say, they always would ask me questions. Tell me about you. Why are you so pretty? Who are you having sex with? Whatever, And then I'd always offer all kinds. And then I would turn it back to them, and I'd be like, "Well, tell me about you." And they'd say, "Well, my husband does this, that, and the other thing." Okay, well, tell me about you. Well, I got 2 kids. One's in soccer, one's in ballet. Okay, well, tell me about you. And I noticed this pattern that just repeated over and over and over again, where people were talking about themselves through other people and never about their own identity. When I was saying, tell me about you, I'm not asking about I can ask about those other people. I'm happy to do it. But I want to start with tell me about you. Right about you. What gets you up in the morning? What makes your head hit the pillow at night satisfied, and what makes your feet hit the ground in the morning? And I found so many people, whether they realized it or not, were completely having their identity wrapped up in other people around them. And that's really what the catalyst was for me to write Dixie's Tupperware Party, because I wrote it as a love letter to women, to celebrate them. And that's how it all got started, is just being in people's living rooms and seeing over and over and over again where people just didn't feel like they were worthy enough.
Yeah. Or like your whole thing is right. It's funny. We printed those stickers. We'll do this again this year, but the "You Matter" sticker, I think people do have to realize that they matter. It's like I would always say, people get women especially get so locked into their roles that they forget who they are at their core. And so like you really bring people back to their core. You're talking about those failures. I was just reading something this morning, a great quote somebody put on social media. It says, "You don't fail unless you give up. That's when you fail, like when you just give up," right?
Amen.
Kind of like when it's like those people at your Tupperware party, them trying to open that can, right? They don't.
I have somebody open a can at every Tupperware party with my can opener, my incredible Tupperware can opener. And yes, it takes a little coaching. And yes, sometimes people are stupid, but I'm here to help, because that's what I do. I'm a giver, And so I try.
That's a good point, though. Like, sometimes like you want it, like seriously, like that can opener, I think is such a great metaphor for how people just like, they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to use this, or I don't know, what to do with this, or I feel stupid. But like you said, sometimes just having a coach there along the way and adding humor to it, the power of humor, because what you really do, I mean, you have a very diverse crowd that comes to your Tupperware parties, right? And but what I saw that you did, and what I love the most, is that you really bring strangers together and you create this beautiful family. Like nobody wants to leave at the end. I noticed how at the end of the event that at the end of your party, everything, it was everything wrapped in one, that people really wanted to stay around and talk. So
it's one of the things that I love about it. It really, for a theatrical piece, it really becomes a community situation. I come out at the end of every show, and I talk to people and make pictures with people and everything. And I'm amazed, because I will have times that the amount of time I get to spend outside in the lobby with people is about half of the length of the actual show. I mean, I'll be there for like a whole 45 minutes to an hour just chatting with people, because they want exactly what you said. They want that piece of community. They don't want that to end, because I think people these days are so on their screens and shut into their, I mean, I noticed for myself, especially like after COVID, we got so used to being shut in and on our own that sometimes you sort of forget, oh, I have people out there that I can see. I have friends. And I think a lot of people still are in that mode of, well, it's easier to just kind of be with a limited number of people, or be on my own, or not go out, or not spend time. You don't like to go out and be with a friend. It doesn't cost any more money. You can go out and just sit with a friend and talk, and go to a park and sit on a park bench and chat and get together. I think people have forgotten that
Yeah.
kind of community is available, and I think it's detrimental because we are by nature a social species, and we want to be with other people, and we've had this huge event that has pulled us all inside of ourselves, and a lot of people haven't sprung back out the other side. So I think it was one of my things for 2025 is going out and spending more actual time with people. I mean, I have a little bit of time before the tour starts back up in April. And so I'm like, oh my God, I've got all this time, and I want to see people and do things with people. So I have scheduled all this stuff where
That's why you're coming to be with us in March.
that's why I'm coming to be with y'all, but I'm jumping on planes. I'm going to see people. I'm actively making plans with all my friends at home that I just like. I did this thing the other day on my Facebook. I was like, you know what? I put together what I call my New Year's resolutions, and I said, do one thing each week. Go through that Christmas card list that you feel you need to send a Christmas card to that person, but you never talk to them other than that time. Well, obviously there's a connection there. There's a reason they're on the Christmas card list. How about reaching out to all those people that you only sent a Christmas card to but never talked to, and set a time to get together with them, or set a time to do a FaceTime with them so you can see their actual face again. Something like that. Because I was like, I reckon you got a bunch of people that you never talk to, and you're kind of going, well, I wonder doing? Well, why don't you ask him? Why don't you get on the phone and call him up? Why don't you go see him? Because I think we get so used to this. Oh, my life is so busy. Okay, well, what is it busy with? Is it busy with something valuable, or is it busy with stuff that you put in front of you, impediments, so that you can say you're busy without doing anything that actually enriches your actual life?
It's so funny. It's not funny that you say that, but I was thinking about that. Like, I was looking at the people that sent, Christmas cards, and I thought, when was the last time I actually, like you said, saw them? And a friend of mine called me that I haven't seen in a really long time. I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long. And like you said, it's just schedule it. Just schedule the time. Make the, make that the priority. I went home for my 40th high school reunion, and I wasn't going to go because
Yes, I don't believe the lies you're telling me right now.
I know.
High school.
60 this year, baby. I'm
No.
turning 60. So I got lots of plans. That's why we're going to Pigeon Forge. But I was at a conference, and then I was going to Fiji a week later, and then I was this and that, and I wasn't going to go because I was just going home for the night. And I'm like, something was pulling me, and I decided to go home. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna rent a car instead of just getting an Uber. And I rented a car, and then I'm like, maybe I'll go to all these different places and just do a little bit of healing while I'm back there. And as I share with you, I'm from Asheville. That was 2 weeks before before the hurricane hit. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad I went home. Like as you said, you just don't want to have any regrets. And if you're going to meet up with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, you're probably not going to have any regrets about, spending the money, going on marking those dates down. You can't, there's no price. There's no price to put on that.
And if you do something like that, don't make it a measuring stick. Don't make it like, oh, I've done this, so look how great I am. I hope I outshine that person, which is what a lot of people do when they go back to high school reunions. But find a way like, oh my God, what's great about your life? Engage with them and inspire them to find things. Because obviously you had a connection with them at some point. That's why you were friends. Connected with them to stay friends this long. So celebrate those things. I think we're so quick to just, like I said,
what was amazing, like you never know like what's going to come from it. I didn't know who I was going to be able to 2 weeks later that I might not have connected with at all, but I was, afterwards I was able to go, how can I help? How can I serve? Like after that. Well, here I have another. I just love talking to you, and I'm looking at when we're at the Pigeon Forge. If you look back of your journey from when you started this beautiful Tupperware parties, what's been one of the most, profound moments about really being authentic for people, and yourself, and, what have you discovered about Dixie?
I think that things, oh gosh, there's so many things. To be able to stand up in front of in front of thousands of people in some venues I played at 300, some venues I played at 2,500. And to be able to feel like, oh my God, I'm able to move people to profound laughter and profound joy is, it's a dream come true for me. That is the thing that I think makes me so happy. But like, I remember, so I have a couple of shows. I have 4 different shows that I've done. My second show, which is going to be how the whole tour is ending. I'm ending the tour in September in Denver, and I have new things I'm going to work on. So I'm kind of like, I've been on the road for a long time. It's time. So I have this opportunity to go back to Denver, where I've been many times. I think this is going to be my 9th time in Denver, doing a long run. So I'm going to do an 8-week run.
When is Denver? When is Denver's what?
So I open, oh gosh, I don't remember the date of the opening. Is in July, but September 7th is the final show. So I have my second show that I created was one called Never Wear a Tube Top While Riding a Mechanical Bull and 16 Other Things I Learned While I Was Drinking last Thursday. And I pitched that as an idea. I had an idea, but mostly I had the title because I came up with the title one night and it made me laugh. And so I pitched it to the people at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. And
so hang on, I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Yes.
How the hell did you come up with that title? Did you see some girl riding a mechanical bull and she lost her top? Like, what made you just, what
we've
happened?
all seen that. And if we haven't, you need to get out of the house more. No, I just, you know what? I honestly don't remember how I came up with the title, but I was just sitting around talking one night and that came out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write that down. And I have a joke with a couple of friends of mine all the time. If we say something that's like really bizarre, I always say that was the title of my 3rd book. And like anything that just sounds so weird. And so this is one of those things that like, oh, never wear a tube top while riding a mechanical bull. And I'm like, that sounds like a life lesson. And then I was like, and 16 Other Things I Learned While I Was Drinking last Thursday. So the whole show is about, it's me and it's a solo show, but it's me and my best friend, Georgia Jean. The night after is what takes place. It's the night after she gets married and then she goes on her honeymoon. We've got a big party in her, she's got a honky tonk that she owns, and so we a party in her honky tonk to send she and her husband off to Mexico for their honeymoon. And so basically the show starts with the audience are all people that are on their way to New Orleans because I'm from Mobile and Alabama, and there people drive through to get to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. And so, but it was storming and then it washes the bridge out. And so everybody has to pull off the road until the storm gets over. And so they all take refuge in the bar. So that's what the conceit is. So the audience are all revelers on their way to Mardi Gras. And then I'm just sitting there cleaning up the bar, and then I got to entertain these people and talk to them for the next, however long. And so basically the show is all of the things that she and I wrote down as we were planning her party, and we got drunker and drunker. When you drink, you get smarter. And so we started planning ideas to kind of fix up the world. And so they're all in this little book, and it sort of becomes the Bible for Dixie, like, hey, you're in the Church of Dixie now. I'm going to tell you the ways to make your life a little bit better. So I go through all these 16 things, one of which is never ride a mechanical bull where you're wearing a tube top. And so anyway, so I was putting that show together, and I still have it. I sketched on a napkin, literally a napkin, what I wanted the set to look like. And we were in, and they said, yes, we're going to buy the show. So we were doing, I was doing 4 weeks of Dixie's Tupperware Party in Denver at night, and then rehearsing this new show during the day. And then what was going to happen is we're going to have 3 days off. We're going to close Tupperware on a Sunday. And then on that Wednesday, we were going to open the first preview of Never Wear a Tube Top. And so we're rehearsing all day. I'm doing all my stuff, but it's just me in a big rehearsal room with my tour manager. That's what the rehearsal was. And so, and then the people would pop in from the organization every once in a while and be like, how's it going? And look at run-throughs and everything. And the lighting people would come in, and the set people would come in, and the props people would come in. And it was that Monday after we closed, they started loading the set in right away. And then I walked in that Monday to start doing lighting and tech rehearsals. And I walked in, and they had built a full-size honky tonk with a mechanical bull in it based on the drawing I did on that napkin. And it looked exactly like what I drew. I mean, much better because I'm not a good drawer, but it was exactly what I did. And I stood there and I cried because to me, it was like I've done Dixie Tupperware Party for so long, and it was such a gradual growth that I sort of like it never hit me how big it got. But when I stood there and watched people on my word go, oh, okay, well, we trust you. We're going to build a show around what you told us to build, and then do that. And when I walked in and I saw this professional team putting together this vision that I had kind of sketched on a napkin, I was like, oh my God, people believed in me.
Yeah.
That was I'll never forget. That was like the biggest gut punch of, it lifted me up so much, but it made me go, okay, do this now, take this seriously. And, and I mean, I've done thousands of shows all over the world now. And it, just, this, we just played I was at the Kennedy Center for 4 weeks, May and June. Like
my brother loved it. My brother's asking me when we're going back again. So, yeah.
And to be able to go from, doing Tupperware parties in people's living rooms to playing the Kennedy Center for 4 weeks is just, it fills my heart up so much, but it's all the things that I never would have thought I could do that. And I never aspired to do that, but it just shows you that when you kind of put your nose to the grindstone and go, no, I am capable. I'm able to do this.
So what would you say to people about who are questioning themselves? Because I can't think of, I look at all the things I've written down, like you said, on a napkin or just like on a sticky note. Mine are sticky notes probably everywhere. All my best ideas are in sticky notes. What would you say about like when you were like, oh my God, this could really be a reality? And oh my God, it could be like, I could make it happen and people believe in me, or what would you say?
Take action on one little thing a day, even if it seems like it's nothing. It's all about compounding. Do one little thing a day, and all of that is growth. And trust yourself, and then celebrate it. This is the thing. And people's minds work very differently. People learn differently. They create differently. Nobody is on the same path. The thing that I really learned, I never used to celebrate any of my achievements, and I would work, and then I get frustrated because it just all felt like work. I have now a built-in system that for me, that I'm like, all right, now I'm going to take a break. I'm going to do something that makes me just completely checks out. I'm a knitter. My grandma taught me how to knit, so I'm a knitter. And I will sit down and I will do a little bit of knitting because I don't owe it to anybody. It makes me feel good. It lets my brain kind of bake in the thing that I've just worked on and then kind of fudge with it a little bit and go, all right, is that valuable or do I need to get rid of it without being in the presence of having to produce a result? Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It's that little moment of just celebration and breathing and go. And then when I'm done, then I knit something and I have something to show for my knitting. So I'm like, yay, that's some celebration. So if everybody for me, the way my mind works, the way my creative process works, I need to step back for a minute every day and go, all right, that was fun. I had a good time. Because the second it stops being fun is when you don't want to do it anymore. And so if you build in, especially at the beginning when everything seems so overwhelming, if you build in a lot of mini breaks and little mini celebrations, little mini dance parties. I say this in our tube top. I have a thing called the 60-second honky tonk. When I just turn on 60 seconds, we do this on stage. I turn on 60 seconds and I make the entire audience dance. Dance. And it is so stinking fun because it's just, again, a community thing that people are like, dance. I'm like, dance with your neighbor, WCW with them, get out and do something. Those little dance breaks, those little jumping arounds, those little go outside and walk around walk down the street and back, take in nature, look at a flower, those things are, I think.
Those are the little things are the big things, right? Like those are the big things that we don't realize. It's so funny. I'm looking at my planner, which I'm going to send you one. And I wrote down like one of my things of ways to celebrate my successes each day. Like you said, quality time with my family and friends, me time, dance for no reason, journal my success, so have a dance party with my dogs, right? So
and stick them in as a scheduled event. So you're like, oh, I got to stop what I'm doing and I got to dance for a minute.
Yeah, I love that. 60-second. You're doing a 60-second honky tonk. We got to write that into the for the event.
I'll
So
put it in there. But you know, and the thing is, none of this is groundbreaking. None of this is something that hasn't been said a million times. I mean, you've said it. Heard it through other coaches, through other
right.
people. It's just sometimes when you hear things framed a different way, or when you
Yep.
realize, oh, my brain takes information in this way, not this way. This person can say it and it doesn't ring true to me, but this person says it and it affects me great. It's just
Yeah.
find the phraseology that speaks to you. Find the thing that makes you go, oh yeah, that's fun. I can relate to that. I can get into that. That doesn't seem as daunting.
Do you know what I'm doing right now
What
as
do
we're
you?
talking?
Oh my God! I hope
Get
you're making a mint smoothie. Kidding.
a mint smoothie.
I mean, mint is so delicious, especially when when you're having sex like a lot of people, and then you wake up and you're like, oh no, is that me? I mean, you know how that is. That is so. Well, I mean, maybe you don't, but I do, and it's so tough. You know, when all the people come
You need
over.
me to make you a smoothie? A mint smoothie? A mint julep smoothie?
I mean, I'm not going to say it, but if a mint julep smoothie happened to just end up in my cup somewhere, who doesn't love a mint julep? I do it
So
for
I'm going to ask you. I adore you. I'm so grateful to be in your life. I'm just so you know, if you wonder what I'm doing right now as we're talking. Sorry, I had to multitask for a second because you got me off. I'm checking the dates for us to go to. I'm filling out the form for us to go to rent the freaking Dolly bus. I'm looking at it right now to stay
That would
in
be
the sweet
amazing.
1986. So I'm putting it out there. So we're making it
I
happen.
would. That would be so stinking funny.
We're doing it. No, we're doing it.
I
And
love it. I love
we're
it. You
gonna do
can't.
it. We're doing it. Oh, so we're doing it. So
And I have a friend that lives in Nashville, but he's got a tiny house that he bought and he rents out, and he's decked the entire thing out as a Dolly house. So it's all Dolly paraphernalia. He actually photographed her a couple of times. So it's like the photographs that he shot. He's a photographer. He's really amazing. And it's a little Dolly bungalow that you can rent. So we'll have to
now I
go.
need that too. I gotta put that on my list too. We
I'll
got
give
like a
you I'll
whole
give you
there she
we'll
is.
have to
She's
do
right there. She's right there. It's Tina Turner, Dolly Parton, Anita Roddick, which you're gonna be at the event with Anita Roddick's daughter. Anita Roddick, I had the opportunity meeting in 1993, and I was her. She didn't like who the person was that was her kind of her handler for the event, and she goes, "I want you. You're a Scorpio. I want you." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And so this book is signed by her. I love her. You know, she started the Body Shop, and so her daughter's going to be at the event and talk about the importance of giving back. I mean, think about Anita Roddick and Dolly, both of you, is such a huge part of just who they are and what they stand for. So I'm asking you final. Thank you for being. I love this. I can't wait to see you. What I'm asking you two more questions.
Yes.
But I ask everybody, what's one thing that you do every day to stay true to yourself? It sounds like you do a 60-second honky tonk, but what's one thing that you do every day to stay true to yourself?
I mean, lots of honky tonks, lots of knitting. You know, when I go, so I have a little thing called the joy jar, and I always talk about this at the beginning of the year on my social media. I have this little mason jar right by my bed, and with a bunch of little strips of paper that I've cut. And right before I go to bed, I sit down and I go, okay, what's one thing that surprised me, made me smile, something that was different, that not the same thing every day. So something different that was specific to this day that made me happy. And I'll write that on the piece of paper, and then I'll dump it in the mason jar. Now, when the mason jar gets full, I've got a shoebox, so I just dump them in the shoebox after each month. And then, usually on January 1st, but so I'll start on January 1st, and then I'll do all 365 days. And then on January 1st, the next year, I will sit down with a box of wine, nothing big, and the shoebox, and I will just pick out each one and just read it and smile about it and think back to what it was. And that's a little thing that I love to do. I've done it for the last like 5 or 6 years. And what's great about it is that a lot of these are moments that are little things that I never. My friend is basically going through a big thing in her life, and she had, because of a relationship situation and everything, she kind of become a hoarder, and she started And I've like really encouraged her, like, all right, we're going to do this a little bit at a time. How can I help? Let's do it, because this is for you. This is about you honoring the environment you lived in. And she sent me a picture yesterday of the top 2 shelves of her refrigerator cleaned, and then the rest of the refrigerator, which is like, oh, gee. So the rest still looks terrible, but the top 2 look like something out of a showroom, out of a catalog. And I was like, I'm so stinking proud of you, because I know how big that was to do that. And so my joy jar slip from yesterday was about what she had done, and how much that made me smile, because I felt so good that somebody in my life that I care about so much is having this kind of a breakthrough. And so what I do is that when I go back and I read through each one, the next year, I'll go through and look at it, and I'll sort of remember back that day. And what it does is it gives me 365 little moments that I totally would have forgotten about, because the life gets crazy. And I get to reflect on how every day something kind and wonderful and enriching happened. So that's something I've been doing for a long time. So that's a little thing that I'm
starting my drawer dryer. I got plenty of mason jars. I mean, they're all filled with moonshine, but
because you're good Christian people, that's why.
And so how can people find out more about, I need to know when your shows are, because I'm reserving it. And I put in the request for us to go on the Dolly bus, just so you know, it's just filled out. So I'm sure they're going to call me tomorrow.
Oh my God, I love that. That's amazing. Yes. So you can find me on most social medias. The only thing I don't have is a TikTok, but I'm going to try to do TikTok this year. I don't know it. I don't know the platform, so I got to learn it. And these platforms are so hard. Anyway, but you can find me, Dixie Longate, DixieLongate. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have Threads, but I don't use it all that often. And then if you just go to DixieLongate.com, that's my website. They'll have information about me, but also about the tour. The tour schedule is going for the rest of this year is going up now. So I think right now we only have 4 of the markets up there, but there's another like 7 that are going to come on within the next 2 weeks.
Denver, where else are you going to be? Just so people can.
Fort Worth, Houston, Palm Springs, Denver. The Peace Center in South Carolina, and now I'm forgetting the name of the city in South Carolina. Greenville. I think it's Greenville, South Carolina, the big art center there called the Peace Center. Charlotte, North Carolina, Saugatuck, Michigan. So yeah, I got a bunch of places I'm bopping around. I'm probably forgetting a couple of them.
Can we just make a Dixie bus and I can drive it and drive you around the country?
I mean, wouldn't that just be easier? That'd be so much easier. And then if everything goes well, what I'm working on, what I'm hoping and planning right now is in the fall, taking the show to and I'm doing a long sit down in New York City. So that's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm trying to put together. And so doing all that work right now to make that a reality. So
well, I appreciate you. You were an inspiration to so many of us. And I can't wait to be with you in March and to share you with everybody.
We are going to have the best time. First of all, thank you so much for opening up your home there for me to come and share with all your friends and all the people that are going to be at the event. I'm so excited about that. You have no idea. So I'm sharing some stories and making people laugh and doing some things and sending people out with a big old bang to start this year and go crazy. So I will be there, but I know I will see you along the way.
Yes. Well, thanks so much, and make sure that you let us know what you loved about today, and make sure you follow Dixie. And that's a wrap on another episode of the Loren Lahav podcast. I hope you're walking away feeling totally inspired, energized, and ready to take on whatever comes your way. If you enjoyed our conversation today, wait till you hear what's coming up next. Speaking of which, mark your calendars, because something incredible is happening March the 7th through the 9th. The Own It experience is coming. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on this transformational event. We're talking breakthrough moments, powerful connections, and tools that you can truly own your journey. Can't wait until then. Here's how you can stay connected. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Just search for the Loren Lahav podcast, and don't forget to tap that follow button. For all the behind the scenes goodness and daily inspiration, follow me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav. And if you're loving what you're hearing, spread the love, share this episode with a friend who needs to hear this message. Want to dive into everything we're talking about today? Click the link in the show notes so that you can access exclusive resources, connect with our amazing community, and learn more about the Own It experience in March. Your transformation awaits. Until then, remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and you got this. See you on the next episode.